Hi, we're at the Rocky Museum today to welcome Karen McCutcheon and Joyce Brown, and we want to talk about their memories of the Centennial Trail Ride from Rocky Mountain House to Calgary in 1967. This was a project for the Centennial celebration. And Karen McCutcheon, would you like to talk about your part?
Okay, well, in 1967 I was known as Karen Bowles, and it was my dad who had drove the horses mostly from Rocky to Calgary, and we had the team was Sam and Ringo was my dad's team, and Lucy and Lady, I believe, were Vic Alstrom's team, and I think they had a little problem with the heat, and they kind of were led most of the way, but then at the Stampede Parade, then all four were hitched up and away we went.
I might mention that this was sponsored by the Rocky Light Horse Association, which everybody belonged to at that time, and this was members of the Rocky Light Horse Association that took part.
Right, I forgot that part in my introduction. So it was a 6-day ride, you thought?
Yeah.
And it started in June.
Yeah, well, July, I've got the date here somewhere, July 2nd or something, just so we got to the parade at the right time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and we had, well, all our stops along the way. We went the first day, got to Eckville Corner, and we sort of regrouped. We needed to put shoes on a couple horses and get everything ship-shape for the rest of the trip. And then we went on to Lions Campground in Red Deer for one night, and then off to Innisfail. I don't know if you remember Otto Zimmerman. He used to be a member, and he was a Centennial host while we were there. Then we went on south to, there used to be a service station along Highway 2, and we did travel right down Highway 2 or in the ditch mostly.
That's right, yeah.
But we didn't kill anybody. We did okay. And from there we went on to Crossfield or Airdrie, somewhere down there and camped. And we finally made it to Calgary, camped on the North Hill, had a day of rest before the parade. And there's a lot more to it than what I've told you. You can tell them.
Oh, well, I wasn't really part of the organizing part of it, I guess. There was probably a lot of organizing to first of all get permission to ride into the parade, and then also to find our stops along the way and so on. I know I kind of did a little test run, and I thought it was going to be really hard for the horses to walk on the pavement, but they actually preferred the pavement to walking in the ditch. I know that, of course, the wagon had to be on the pavement, so that the riders then tried to ride in the ditch, and the horses always gravitated towards the pavement. And it was interesting then that probably most of the horses hadn't been shod ever before, but so that was kind of an experience. I remember probably a few days before the ride that we had a kind of a horseshoeing bee at our farm, and so the horses weren't shod, you know, maybe a week ahead of time, but by the end of the trip, many of the horseshoes had worn right through. There was when they took them off, they were taken off in pieces because of being on the pavement.
Oh my!
One of the I remember at Innisfail, so that's where we had camped, and there was a thunder and lightning storm, and I know a couple of the people were quite concerned about their horses at that time because it was such a severe lightning storm, but we survived that.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I might mention the covered wagon that made the whole trip. It was specially designed. Our camp stove was kept inside, and the tarp over the wagon was made so it had a awning that stretched out so you could have your supper table and everything underneath in the shelter.
Great idea.
And our extra supplies and everything were in that. And we had a guide now, we were lucky to have Myrtle Radio guide and outfitter. She had lots of experience in this kind of stuff, and she was right with us the way, and she did our cooking and kind of kept us organized. We had a bathroom facility that was quite fun because we were camped in fields or things along the highway, and that's a story in itself.
Yeah, we kind of roughed it in a way, but not nearly like the original pioneers would have done it. But it was sort of a good replication of at the time anyway. I think we had a bit of fun, and that must have been at Crossfield when we had a big fun when we had the 4 horses hooked up, and my dad was going to do a little bit of chuck wagon racing, but I don't think that went very far before he decided that wasn't a good idea. I don't really remember how all the horses were fed. I know my own horse, we could picket him out by the front foot, and he often, at the end of the day, then just picketed him out and he ate grass, but I don't know about the hay hauling and all that sort of thing.
I seem to think maybe Murray Peacock with his 1-ton truck maybe had feed. We had a horse wrangler, that was Jim Hamilton, and he kind of kept everything organized with the horses, got up in the morning, made sure they're all there and all that stuff. But I think we must have had, because we had the truck and camper belonged to Tifford, and they kind of kept our groceries coming and little things, errands and stuff. And I kind of think Murray Peacock's, 1-ton truck, it was with us, I know. And Murray was in the parade, and so was Milton, his son. And but I think we led his horse. We had sometimes an extra horse because somebody had to go home or something. And it all went well.
Yeah. I know, of course, the road was much different in those days than it is now. We didn't have the bypass through Sylvan Lake, so that was kind of exciting to go through Sylvan Lake in the middle of summer with all the traffic of the of the summer visitors and whatnot. But I think one thing that, and maybe I wasn't really aware of it either as much as some of the others who were there about how people would stop us on the road and want to talk, and were quite impressed that we were doing this. For the 150th celebration of Confederation, a group of our local harness club members decided we would try to replicate the trip to Calgary, but we thought that might be a bit too ambitious, so we went to Ponoka. We started at Gull Lake, so that was kind of our tribute to the 1967 cavalcade of the Rocky Light Horse. But it was a little bit more user friendly. We had campers along with us, and we only made 12 hours or 12 miles a day, so it wasn't quite as ambitious as the Rocky Light Horse did.
Well, and I wonder if Highway 2 was only a 2-lane highway in 1967?
I'm sure it probably was.
Yeah, I think it would be considered the old highway now, 2A. So it was, I think, for the most part. But we didn't really have any trouble with traffic. But we had the visitors that pulled over and were quite social, and sometimes they handed us out a few little treats or something. It was kind of nice to meet people along the way. I think about all the laws we've broken. We wouldn't dare do that. There would be no possible way that we could do that now.
No, not really, I don't think. But, and I really don't remember the parade all that well.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
It was wall-to-wall people on both sides. And if you happen to have a horse that you want to get out of there with, I don't know what you'd do. I guess they had provisions. Fortunately, we didn't have any problems. Our horses went along like they were supposed to. But it was just about as exciting being in it as watching it. You see the people and the excitement and everything going on. It was pretty awesome.
So you had some people who joined in that weren't from the Rocky Light Horse group?
No,
No, nobody extra?
we had our rules. One was we had to wear a special Rocky Light Horse Association shirt. And also the tricorn hats like David Thompson wore. We all wore the tricorn hats instead of cowboy hats.
Right, okay.
And then we had rules of horses. They had to be, it couldn't be a stud, they couldn't be a mare of the colt, they couldn't be a mare that was going to have a colt. They had to be basically a pretty sound, healthy horse.
Right.
So it wouldn't create any problems, and preferably broke.
But by the end of the trip, they were mostly broke.
It took the edge right off. Yeah, it was, and then we had, to come home, we had a lot of stuff to come home. Haul the wagon, horses, and the whole shebang. There was some trucker by the name of Jarrett. I didn't know him really, but he apparently had a big stock truck.
Right.
And he brought our horses home, and George had a truck. How did he get his truck there if he's driving?
I don't know. Those are details I don't remember.
In my notes, I think it says that George Bowles hauled maybe your own, maybe, I don't know. Emery Peacock had his truck. I don't know how my horse got home. I went to the Stampede.
Oh, just one more question about the nightly camping. Was there a campfire and singing, or was everybody too tired after supper to sit around and sing?
Well, I don't think we sang much, but we had, Myrtle was our cook.
Right.
She was a trail guide and outfitter, and she kept us organized. But I don't imagine we sat around too late. One thing that we have is a song.
Did you want to read that out loud?
I could. I don't think you want me to sing it, but I'll read it. This was written by one of our members, Charlie Whitesell. His wife was on the ride. We're heading for the roundup, going to the big stampede. We've each got tricorn hats and trusty steeds. We're heading down to Calgary from Rocky Mountain